let's go straight now and let's tell you that the situation with the Saudi government, who on the 13th of November canceled the visa of 264 Nigerians at the Jeddah International Airport, but ensured 177 of them were returned to Nigeria by air peace. The Embassy of Saudi Arabia in Abuja insisted that the procedure was not limited to Nigerian citizens alone, but rather to citizens of other countries. The Saudi Arabian Embassy in Nigeria said that the travelers recently deported at a port of entry did not meet the entry requirement and conditions of its country. A statement by the embassy says that the passengers denied entry and subsequently deported to their initial destination submitted incorrect information to obtain categories of visa they did not qualify for. So, the airline which took those passengers, those Nigerians, is Air Peace. The House of Representatives is worried about that. The federal lawmakers are saying they need to find out what exactly happened and probe into what went on. Don't forget, this was at the same time when President Bola Tinubu is in Saudi Arabia. What exactly could be going on? So let's speak now to the Chief Executive Officer of Air Peace, Mr. Allen Onyema. Thank you so much indeed for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. From the Air Peace point of view, what really happened?
You see, I mean, it was very unfortunate something like this ever happened in the first place. Nigeria and Saudi Arabia have a long history of cooperations and, you know, very good relations, and we don't want to soil it at this moment. The federal government says it's still under investigation. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Embassy in Nigeria, has come out to state that the passengers affected had gave them some information that were not maybe accurate or improper, with which they secured the visas. That meant that as at the time the airline was taking in these people, their visas were valid in the eyes of the airline. And through the APIS system, the Advanced Passenger Information System approved it. So we took them on. We also filed a manifest.
Took them from Abuja?
From Kano.
From Kano, okay.
Yes.
To Jeddah.
You know, that particular system is live.
So whatever they are seeing here in Nigeria, you can see it in several other airports, or see it in
the connecting airport where you're going to destination.
The destination.
So we did all that. So the airline followed every procedure required of it to follow. We did that. So, but when they got there, some of the people passed, and maybe about 80 of them passed immigrations, and suddenly immigration people, you know, saw in their system that the visas, the remaining ones, have been cancelled. So that was it. That was all we knew. But I want to say something here. Every country, you know, the countries put it on their visas. That giving you a visa does not mean that you must enter their country. They still reserve the right to either deny your entry or allow your entry. But having said that, I don't want to dwell on this. I want good decorum, good diplomacy. I want let good sense prevail in this whole thing. Let justice and fairness prevail in all this. That's what we're asking. We're not asking for anything more. We don't want to dwell into it because the federal government is investigating. And I have to tell you that yesterday, that the federal government of Nigeria is on top of it. I was a guest of His Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Senator Kashim Shettima, to show that the government is concerned, invited me, and I went to brief them of what we know. So I don't want to say certain things on TV.
All right. So I understand.
I hope you understand.
I understand. So due diligence on your side was done.
Was done.
This is unusual. If you look at the procedures and the standard operating procedures for flying, you've not just started flying international, isn't it?
No.
Yeah. So this is somewhat looks unusual, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks unusual because we followed every protocol and we followed every procedure. The thing is, we are not in the business of issuing visas as an airline. Ours is to, when you give us your visa, we put it through the visa portal, verification portal, supplied by the Saudis. So it passed. Then the next one was the APIS, the Advanced Passenger Information System. We put through there, it passed. Then we sent the manifest ahead. We got all those clearances before we left the country.
So there was a clearance that came from Saudi Arabia.
Of course, you have to.
Before the manifest
you can give the manifest and everything. So before you even start going, everything must have been Charlie from the visa verification, from APIS. But what I'm saying has been corroborated by the Saudi Arabian embassy. What they said actually exonerated the airline. They said they're not denying the fact that they had visas, meaning that as at the time these passengers were leaving Nigeria, they actually had visas issued. They didn't say they forged the visas issued by the Saudi Arabia. So, but what they were saying that they discovered that the information they gave them was for the wrong visas. It's like maybe you're going for medical treatment and you went and procured a tourism visa. Maybe that was what they are trying to.
So, and this affected about 177 out of the 260.
Yeah, that's what they said. That's what they said. I mean, so 177 were affected. But their reason was just what they've just given you. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that the Saudi Arabian embassy inadvertently or by implication exonerated the airline of any wrongdoing because some experts, so-called experts in Nigeria, who had their own, maybe it was AP's fault. Some became experts overnight and saying things they didn't know anything about. But the embassy has come out to say that they actually issued those visas.
But there was an intervention on the ground when this became difficult that even allowed about 80-something that got passed through the immigration in Jeddah. That was right?
Well, we saw some of those in publications, but another, our staff on ground said that about 80 had passed before this issue
started coming.
80 had passed, before. That means they must have discovered something as at the time they were passing people. Maybe each person that came with a visa that was not for the program the person was going to or something like that. Maybe when they discovered, they decided to clamp on.
Is it a cohort or is it a group of people or these are just different passengers who boarded that aircraft going for different business and different mission differently?
Well, it was not a charter flight.
Okay.
It wasn't a charter flight.
So it was a normal passenger flight.
It's a normal passenger flight. A lot of people thought we were doing charter flight for Umrah or for Hajj or for something. No, it wasn't a charter flight. This is a scheduled flight operations. I mean, it was a normal, regular passenger flight, meaning that we could carry business passengers, we could carry tourists, people going for tourism, we could carry people going for Umrah and other things.
Government activities,
as long as
private
we see a visa, pass the visa through the system, and
the
visa is the other country accepts it, and everything accepts it, we carry you. So it's not we don't issue visas. It's not our.
Mr. Onyema, let me ask you, how long has AP started flying Saudi Arabia?
I'm sure we've been doing Hajj for other airlines over the years. I think in the last 4 years, every Hajj opportunity, because we have 777s, other airlines will, come to us and, do a wet list with APs for us to help them move their pilgrims. Not only within Nigeria, even Guinea and some other neighboring countries, even Niger. We've gone to Niger to move their pilgrims to Saudi. So we are very used to the Saudi airspace. And there has been a lot of cordial relations between APs, and I have to give it to them. The Saudis didn't waste our time in giving us all the permits to be, I mean,
to land and fly and,
yes,
yeah,
to even operate into Saudi. That is the truth. The Saudi authorities have been very cooperative with APs. They like the way we perform the Hajj operations for other countries and for other airlines. However, this last Hajj operations, Nigeria now brought us in to bid and start doing Hajj like any other airline. And we did it so successfully. And I'm sure the Saudi authorities were happy with how APs performed. And when we applied to start doing scheduled flight operations into Saudi, they didn't waste time in giving us all the approvals.
How long did it take?
It didn't take time. In fact,
how many months have you done since your scheduled flight operations?
We just started 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago.
Are you aware
but then we've been moving in.
Nigerians are you aware that that's some kind of threat to those airlines that are of Saudi interest and who thought that AP's foray into that operations could also threaten them economically? Because they know that the Nigerian route is a very viable one.
Like what I would like to say before you continue, sorry. When we applied for landing rights to start scheduled flight operations into Saudi, the Saudi authorities, in all fairness, they didn't waste time. Unlike some other countries, even within Africa, they didn't waste time in giving us approvals, and we appreciated that. So we're happy. We just started flying into Saudi just 2 weeks ago or so. And, you know, yes, this is business. And in aviation, there may be rivalry, there may be fears, and there may be, but I'm not alluding this to any of those things because investigations are still on what actually happened. One thing is certain. When your local airline starts doing international operations, it brings down the fares. We brought down the fares for Nigerians, and Nigerians are swarming in their hundreds. Our people, especially from the northern part of the country, our people from the northern part of the country are so happy with the entrance of APs into the foray.
In terms of competition, Mr. Onyema, that won't be very cool with some of the airlines who have
that is natural.
Their major routes.
That is natural too.
So competition sometimes is met with opposition, you know. And are you aware of this, isn't it?
Well, when somebody is used, I mean, in business, when you have newcomers coming in, that is also a threat, no doubt about that. But I don't want to allude what happened as a fallout of that threat. But I leave everything to investigation, like I said. Let the government, both governments investigate that.
Let me quickly take you on. I think, I don't know if you have any other thing to say, since, and I know that you are trying to be courteous about the situation, since is already surrounded by government interventions and all of these issues. And of course, the kind of conversation that you are also having with the government, so it doesn't look like you are giving anything out. But I respect that, and thank you so much indeed for even allowing us to have this conversation, at least get Nigerians to be in the know, especially those who are worried about that relationship. Does it worry you also that it's at the same time happening when the Nigerian President Bola Tinubu is at the Saudi Africa Summit?
Yes, I was actually worried that morning when they woke me up as the AP's aircraft landed in Saudi and this thing started happening. I got a call from Saudi immediately from our staff. I was worried, more so because our dear president was in Saudi at that moment. I felt that that could be a slight. I felt that this could lead some diplomatic showdown, which was unnecessary. I felt that, in fact, when I started calling government officials out there, I told them to do everything possible to make sure this did not happen, because it might be a blow or a slight or might lead into frictions. I don't encourage frictions between countries. Like I said earlier, Saudi Arabia and Nigeria have been very good strategic partners. And we shouldn't, at this stage in our diplomatic lives, get to do anything that we saw that strategic partnership. So I was worried, really, I was worried. And on Tuesday again, this time around, people, I think the cancellation now happened in Nigeria. out of 296 people booked on our flight, only 43 was allowed to fly. That's okay. I mean, that is even better than allowing them to get to Saudi before canceling it.
So who bear the cost? Of course, the passenger.
The passenger, the airline. The airline also.
So you incur some loss.
Of course, because if you're planning to fly 296 people or thereabout, you didn't just plan it immediately. You must have done certain planning. The catering must have been procured. A lot of things, fueling. You know, you plan for that. And if at the end you now fly 43 people on a wide body jet like 777 that could carry up to 360 people, and you're carrying 43 people, that's a loss to the airline, but more so to the passengers also. But I mean, it is what it is. You don't know. Every country reserves the right to protect their territorial integrity. Every country reserves the right to take their decisions, but it's left for us to know whether those decisions are fair enough. At this moment, you cannot say until investigations unravel.
Yeah. Let me, before I take you to some larger issue, I mean, this is, I'm bringing you back home now, and perhaps I should ask you, how is it looking? You're doing a lot of international routes now. How does that feel? How does that mean, considering the fact that there has been this row about FX with Nigeria and some other airlines, but you as a Nigerian carrier going into international routes, how has that been? Has it been very, very profitable?
Well, it's not been very profitable. Over the years, we've been doing, AP started doing some 5 years ago, we started with the regional flights, Accra, Monrovia, Lome, Banjul, Dakar, Douala, and Monrovia, and others. But we've been burning money on those routes. And I'll tell you why we do it. The Nigerian airline industry, the Nigerian airlines have been demonized over time, even by government officials who are supposed to be protecting them. They demonize them and praise foreign airlines. Today we are talking about paucity of dollars in the system. We are talking about a failing economy. It's not the making of this particular government. They are grappling with whatever they inherited. So we are talking about a very bad economy. How do we revamp the economy of the country when we don't support our own? And this has been happening over the years. They find it difficult supporting Nigerian airlines. They tell you bad things about Nigerian airlines. These airlines are the ownership of, I mean, the shareholding of those airlines. When you see them, salute them, they're patriotic Nigerians. They're throwing their money into a basket, a leaking basket for everybody in this country. And they're unsung. They're all unsung. Because all you get from government officials is, oh, the airlines, they give red carpet treatment to foreign airlines to the detriment of their own airlines. What EPIS is doing is just fighting for the airline industry in Nigeria. We decided to continue doing all these international routes and not pulling out, not that we are making gains. We are making losses, but we are there for the sake of other airlines that will come forward. I mean, for the country to start believing in their own.
Could the policy of government help your business on international routes?
Of course. Of course. The moment we are talking about dollars, that is another easy way of, you see, when we talk about production is not only when you go to the farm. You could use your airlines to start attracting dollars into the system. You could use your airlines to start moving your people and save foreign currency that would have gone to the other airlines. You're talking about trap funds. Meanwhile, the foreign airlines are all doing multiple frequencies into Nigeria. Yet, they cry about, oh, our funds are trapped in Nigeria. They know very well that these funds may be trapped. Yet, they increase the frequencies they do into the country, and at the end of the day, blackmail us.
And at some point, I don't know, if you have experienced it, I have had a few times. If you fly maybe more than one route out of Nigeria into Europe or America, at some point, when you are off the Nigerian route and you land maybe in Europe and you're flying towards America or to the UK, you fly in some of the beautiful birds. in some of the beautiful aircraft. But the one that takes you to Nigeria or takes you out of Nigeria, those aircraft are very, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I just feel that way.
Well,
And because there are those who frequent flyers also who feel that the treatment of Nigerians are very awful.
You see, when you talk about the age of the aircraft or how it looks, no operator would like to put an aircraft that is not airworthy in the skies. That's a risk. So even those ones you think they are old, coming from Britain, I'm not excusing them, but that is the truth. The aesthetics, they give you the most beautiful ones when they're flying out of their country to Europe or America, but once they bring here, become have rickety seats and whatever, but all the same, they're airworthy. I'm not even going to that. I'm going to the economics of the game. A situation where your country, your citizens pay 3 million naira as for economy class ticket to do a 6-hour flight. And Nigerians are not talking and people are not perturbed. Is that good enough? It's not. It's because your own airlines have not succeeded in doing those routes. Who is frustrating your airlines from doing those routes?
So if Nigerian carriers fly more international, it will crash the price.
Let me tell you something. When we started flying Dubai, what did we do? Even though they gave us Sharjah, all we did was to bring our business class became 860,000. Our economy was about 500,000 return. And our aircraft, APs 777s, have first class, like any other thing you can think of. And our first class was 1 million. Meanwhile, another airline was charging about 4-point-something million. We brought it down for Nigerians, and we started doing well there. But now we go to India. APs flies India. India is 12 hours going, 12 hours coming because of the closure of the Sudanese airspace. So what we do now is about 12 hours to India, to Mumbai, and 12 hours coming back. A total of 24 hours of flying. I'm not talking about block hours that may take it to about 26. Yet, we charge Nigerians going to India 700,000 naira. And Nigerians going elsewhere in Europe, to London, paying for a total of 12 hours flight, 3 million for economy. So you look at that. Why people from Ghana are paying less.
Why?
People from Lome are paying less. See, until we begin to love ourselves in this country, both government officials and civil servants and Nigerians alike, it is not Allen Onyema.
Were you able to speak to the Vice President about this frustration?
I'm coming. Yeah. A situation where you look at APs is Allen Onyema's business. That is very unfortunate. Touch Delta Airline. America will bring its might to bear on you. Meanwhile, America does not have any national carrier. Delta Airline is not a national carrier. It's a privately owned airline. But touch it. Touch Virgin Atlantic. UK will come after you. The moment you leave your country, you're designated to fly a particular destination out of your country. You're a flag carrier. You need the protection, total protection of your country.
But you don't get that here in Nigeria.
We've not been getting it. Maybe now we are trying to get it. That is why.
Do you think that the Tinubu government is receptive?
Yes.
Are they opening their arms to be able to entertain the Nigerian-owned
indigenous businesses? The vice president sent for me. I didn't send for him. That shows it's something I really appreciate.
It's a good start for him.
It's a good start. Yeah. The vice president of the country sent for me, and I felt good. And he received me. We spent almost an hour discussing issues and how airlines are going to be helped. He even talked about the domestic airlines trapped funds. He even started telling me about them, even before I opened mouth to tell him that yes, Nigerian airlines also.
So even the local airlines have trapped funds with the federal government?
Of course, with the central bank. Of course. All the airlines in Nigeria, you bid for, you want to buy spare parts, you go through from A, from M, and others to get forex from the central bank. You know, normally after bidding, they take your money, they debit your naira position, but have you been given the money? No. So most of the airlines are in the same way, the same footing.
You make loss and your money is being trapped.
And of course, we borrow that money at 26% interest rate. And it's been trapped for about 8 months, 6 months, depending. So most of the airlines are in the same. But the vice president of the country opened up. The first thing he said, what is happening? These people, I've told the central bank governor, I've told this, that we need to get this sorted out for the domestic
That's
operators.
good news, isn't it?
No, that is good.
It will free up some funds. It will make.
So I think the government is trying to do something. Why trying to tell the foreigners to come and invest in Nigeria? Maybe they want to
let the local ones
encourage the local ones.
For the benefit of our viewers, the popular one was the incident that a lot of Nigerians are familiar with about the Saudi visa incident. Was the 264 out of which 177 flew and about 84 were allowed into Saudi Arabia. But 2 days ago, I'm also aware that from Nigeria, out of 297 passengers that were flying to Saudi, only 43 were allowed to fly. Their visa, 254 people's visa were cancelled in Nigeria. Is that right?
Yes.
And from some of the information I also have here, is saying that there are some of them who couldn't get a seat. The same class of visa couldn't get a seat on the airpiece, went to Saudi Air, and 313 on the same day, passengers, 313 of them got on the Saudi Air, and they were allowed to fly without their visas being cancelled. What is going on?
Well, like I said before, I cannot explain some of these things. All I know is that, yes, it is true that out of 297, 254 were cancelled.
It's about 2 days or 3 days later.
Yeah,
or 2 days after the first incident.
After the Monday incident.
The following day, it happened again.
Yeah, but this one was cancelled here.
Right in Nigeria.
So it's even better they didn't get up to
Jeddah.
To Jeddah before turning them back. So they cancelled 254 here. We ended up going with 43 passengers. That was what happened.
So you had 200 and something empty seats?
Of course.
And that's another loss?
Yes.
Mr. Onyema, there are a lot of people who are drawing a lot of inference into this, that this is not just ordinary. In 2 days consecutively, this is happening.
Well, the government is investigating. And
you don't think this is an attack on the Nigerian-owned airline?
No, let me not delve into... Let's wait for the investigations. Like you said, that 313 flew on the other airline. These are matters they will need to... is it true that 313 flew? The tower of the Nigerian system were able to confirm that. And what you said, that some families shared themselves into two. And
yes, these are information that we get from those who flew and those who are aggrieved about the situation.
We as an airline, we don't want to be involved in order now. We wait for investigations. We cooperate with both authorities. And but why we are here is to let the flying public be assured that their airline, Airpeace, will continue flying to Jeddah.
And we hope that the Nigerian government will fight for the rights of the Nigerian people when seeming injustice is being meted. I mean, because clearly, except we have a better explanation from the Nigerian, from the Saudi government to the Nigerian government, because they explained on what happened with the 177, but this very one, which happened on Tuesday, we've not been hearing explanation. But let me take you to the incident. 8 September, there was a skidding off the runway of an aircraft in Ibadan. The Minister of Power, I was also involved in another incident. In Port Harcourt, there was another aircraft that skid off the runway. What do you know is happening?
You see, there are so many things that could cause some of these incidents. It could be bad weather. It could also be a technical snag on an aircraft. It could also be pilot error. It could also be infrastructure infringement. There are so many, but I think NSIB is onto the matter investigating now. But one thing I have to tell you is that the Nigerian airspace is very, very safe. More than safe. It's just that sometimes when it rains, it pours. So it will look as if maybe some people are not doing what they're supposed to do. The NCAA, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, is doing a wonderful job. The oversight, I say it over time, the oversight they bring to bear on Nigerian airlines second to none. The kind of things we go through because the man, the NCA helmsman, Captain Musa Nuhu, is always scared of accidents like ordinary passenger. You never knew he was a pilot. The guy is scared more than you and me. So he tries to run a regime that's breathing heavily on airlines, issues and matters of safety. Whenever he suspects anything, he will clamp down on the airline. So the Nigerian airspace is very safe. It's just that sometimes, as I said earlier, sometimes when it rains, it pours. That's what happened.
Take you to one area that is a very controversial one, and it's about the issue of the national carrier and some of the controversies under the former minister Hadi Sirika. So much has been said into the reason why that showcase was made, bringing that airline to the Nigerian airspace, which was painted, and how it was received, and those who felt that it was a disguise and there was no transparency and all what the view. But let me ask you, is it time for Nigeria to have its own airline, a national carrier in its own name, just like the days of the Nigerian Airways?
Thank you. That's the right question. You asked the right question. But I would rather phrase it this way. Does Nigeria actually need a national carrier?
Do we?
Emphatic no. Emphatic no.
Well,
the national carrier.
Yeah, you ask yourself. There's the Kenyan Airways.
I'm coming.
Ethiopian Airways.
I'm coming.
Yeah.
I'm coming to that. The national carrier thing connotes, when you say national carrier, it means government ownership. Government ownership. Government has no business doing the business of commercial airline operations, especially. You see, let me tell you, the national carrier thing is a moribund idea that have been jettisoned several decades ago by so many countries. British Airways is not a national carrier. Forget the name British. It's owned by IAG Group. Delta Airlines is not a national carrier. Virgin Atlantic is not national. So many of those Air France, this and that, it's just a name. In the olden days, they used to be. They're all divested. They're all flag carriers. Why is my country going backwards in 2023 talking about national carrier? A drain pipe. Look at the examples you're citing. It's Africa and smaller countries that cannot afford business, entrepreneurs with the right funding to set up airlines that, maybe the government will set up one. All you have these days are flag carriers, not national carriers. South African Airways is bleeding the South African economy to stupor. Each time they wanted to sell off Union, the treasury of South Africa is suffering because of that airline. Kenya Airways, where is Kenya Airways today? Is AP not bigger than Kenya Airways today? Do you know where how many airplanes do they have? Kenya Airways is not doing well.
I understand that Kenya Airways is now reduced to one now or so.
They're not doing well. That's because it's a national carrier. See, let me tell you something. Getting into it and coming out is not that easy. Obasanjo did what he did because he was Obasanjo, he is Obasanjo. Not everybody will muster that kind of political will to look everybody in the face and say, this is a drain pipe, no more, and stop the charade. So countries don't go that route.
What about the Ethiopian template? Ethiopia has reported several profits several years when, in fact, when the economic meltdown happened. Ethiopian airline is one of the most profitable airlines across the globe. Why are we not looking in the Ethiopian template?
Thank you. You see, you just given one example out of 1,000 failures. And why is Ethiopia succeeding? Let any Nigerian carrier, let indigenous carriers in Nigeria succeed tomorrow. And let us see if it's going to be the same story about Ethiopia. You see, over time, there has been this unspoken, unholy alliance in trying to bring the Nigerian airline, indigenous airlines down. It's not going to happen again. We've started to sit up. Nobody. It's not going to happen again. We are fighting back to take our rightful place in the aviation space. You see, they are succeeding. Let the likes of Nigeria, let Nigeria get its acts right. Nigerian flag carriers are also getting it right now. When I start going to all these other nations and you have an airport with the right infrastructure, let's see what will happen. If it will be the same game anymore, it will not. A situation where you badmouth Nigeria Airlines, oh, these Nigeria Airlines, they should have been using Nigeria as a hub. Oh, the geographical position of Nigeria is right, is the best in the world, is the best in Africa, is better than Addis Ababa. Yes, our geographical position is the best in Africa as a transit hub. How about your airports? Do they have transit facilities? Capital, no. Let me tell you something. APIS is doing about 8 African countries. APIS is doing China and India. And Jeddah now, London is coming by this December. Now you want to move passengers from all these places, bring them here and fly them to India so that your Indian flights to Mumbai will be doing very well. No, you can't. There was a day I brought people from Douala to transit to Senegal. And you tell them that they must pay some hundreds of dollars. They will come in, you clear immigration, pass customs, pass quarantine, even pass Boy Scout and every manner of uniform is in our airport. They'll pass all those things, you come out. Then you go upstairs again to start checking in again as if you were in Nigeria. You have no business coming to Nigeria, you are transiting. The airport does not have a transit,
just like you find
a transit place. Yeah. So
you have your layovers and then you fly.
You don't have it. So how would the Nigerian airline now converge?
So the Nigerian government need to fix the infrastructure on the ground.
The present MD of FAN, my brother, Mr. Kabir, is doing a fantastic job. I called him. I said, this is the problem we have. In fairness to him, he tried to galvanize, because even the customs and immigration, they didn't even understand what we were talking about. The country is losing. So he now brought out a space at the Murtala Mohammed Airport and said, please use this place. Now that transit thing will start by next week. So things are changing with this government.
Yeah.
Things are changing.
But from your own point of view, Mr. Onyema, you said that Nigeria government should bury the idea,
of course,
and this new government should not go into what Adisirika under the Buhari government. There was a lot of, that they should not go into the Nigerian air idea again.
See, they shouldn't.
Those who would believe that, they think that you and some of your friends within the aviation sector are not happy because it's going to pose a lot of competition.
Now, let me tell you, see, when you're being patriotic, people accuse you of all sorts. It is not true. To start with, let me use the Nigerian line. Ibom Air is bringing in about 10 brand new Airbus 220. United Nigeria is bringing in, have made orders too. Overland made orders of brand new planes. Overland has received its first brand new aircraft from Embraer about 3 weeks ago, thereabout. A lot of these airlines, then APIS has a firm order for 33 brand new planes. Firm order, paid for. Why am I supposed to be afraid of a national carrier that is going to start with 3 aircraft when I have over 35 planes flying already? Because
you feel that you might not be fairly treated. Those are one of the
look at what we are saying. The grievance is this. We see our country going to throw money, or people being deceived. We are being deceived. And when we started drumming it, telling everybody that we are being deceived, nobody believed us until the last minute.
They've been bidding. There's been commitment by the government to contractors, to aircraft makers. So you think that they've not gone too far?
So why haven't the aircraft makers told you that they have an order for the federal government of Nigeria? It is a waste. You don't go into it. All they need to do is to support the indigenous operators. The private sector runs the economy. It's the private sector that runs most economies in the world. Government business is to provide enabling environment.
So it is not a profitable venture from your own point of view.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you about aviation. All over the world, even in America, where they manufacture most of these planes, with their economic might, they don't even have a national carrier. America, with their economic might, that will tell you stories about it. Now, where everything is present, everything, All enablers are present.
The infrastructure,
everything is present.
The indices are right.
All those airlines, they make maybe 5% profit. Commercial airline, the margin is very marginal. And again, it's capital intensive. Now, in Nigeria, you come here, you pay all manner of charges. Nigeria, IATA said it. Now, the charges being paid by airlines in Nigeria are humongous. Then, of course, don't forget insurance. My country is stigmatized. They tell you, oh, Nigeria is unsafe. Nigeria is not unsafe. They tell you it's unsafe. And that drives up the insurance premium we pay. Right. The IATA vice president came to Nigeria a few months ago and said to me that what we use in insuring one aircraft is what they use in insuring about 7 aircraft in Kuwait. So you see, the Nigerian airline industry is, I mean, we have faced just against the wall.
Mr. Onyema, I have one last question for you. Why are the airfares so high?
Fine. Before I answer why the fares are so high, there's something very important we need to address. If we don't address it, we'll continue talking about Nigerian airlines not doing well. Apart from the issues of forex, apart from the issues of cheap funding, other airlines in the world, they borrow money at 3%, 4%, 5%. In Nigeria, we borrow at 26%. How are you going to do that? Then, of course, city hopping. A situation where you give foreign airlines multiple destinations into your country, multiple frequencies. An airline will leave its country, land in Abuja, drop passengers, take off and go to Port Harcourt, drop passengers, pick passengers from Port Harcourt, come to Abuja, pick passengers and go back. It is not done anywhere, not even in America. You're not allowed to do that. I fly India. I wanted to get Delhi, Mumbai to Delhi. India refused. So then talking about airfares.
We just have 30 seconds to go.
Thank you. Talking about airfares, I should also ask those who are asking about the rising fares. How do we get dollars? How much is dollar today? It's no longer 300.
So dollar is at the center of it all.
Dollar is at the center. Everything about the aircraft is dollar. Not even a pin, not even the rug you step on the aircraft, not even the vehicle on your is manufactured in Nigeria. Everything is tested against fire, imported from abroad. It's dollar. So today you're buying dollar at 1,150, and you expect to pay the same fare as you were paying when the dollar was 300. Today you're buying fuel at over 1,000, and you expect to be paying the same thing you're paying when fuel was at maybe 300 to a liter. So,
Mr. Onyema, I wish you the very best, and it's such a pleasure having you on the program to clear the air about some of these issues. Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Onyema, for coming.